Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Cast. I'm Jason Sukamel, joined as always by Cole Patterson. Cole, we're never on a set schedule here, so we're a day earlier than we were last week. I don't know, no rhyme or reason to when we do these things, is there, man? Someday we always say, like, we're gonna pick out a hard time, like
never
Monday at 11, we're gonna do it. And usually me, something comes up, like I got to take my kids somewhere, or something's happening, or I got to make a call. So
sometimes we do in the morning, sometimes it's the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. We've done them late at night sometimes, I think. But here we are recording on a Wednesday, another edition of the Cast. And shout out to our sponsors. You see them there at the top, Prime Shrimp. Go to primeshrimp.com, use that promo code. You see it there, promo code OrangeBloods30, and get 30% off your order of 6 or more packages, units, however you want to call them. But there's a bunch of different flavors, so get 6 of one flavor if you want, get 1 of each, however you want to do it. Go to primeshrimp.com, use that promo code. Also, hey, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all those things that help us grow our YouTube channel. We've done a pretty good job of growing it, but let's keep pounding those subscriptions and likes and keep growing it, and we'll keep offering you more videos. So Cole, we got a few things to talk about. Not the most active week, okay, if we're being honest, in recruiting. We're kind of the calm before the storm of June official visits, but there is a few things you and I wanted to talk about. And the big news, Cole, big news. Texas gets a commitment on Tuesday, right? Was it Tuesday or Monday? I got to look at my it was Tuesday, just yesterday. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's they run together. So Texas gets a commitment yesterday from a punter, Michael Kern, a punter out of Florida. I'm going to let you talk, and then I'll tell my kind of backstory, because I actually talked to Michael about a week ago. So I wasn't really surprised that he committed. I was surprised at the timing of the commitment. Cole, kind of just wing it, if you will. What do you think about Texas getting a punter commitment?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to last week's show, you were talking about the importance of finally of getting a punter, I should say. Jeff Banks seemed to.
It made it look like I knew what I was talking about, right? So, stroke of dumb luck. Hey, it worked.
Yeah, I guess you called it. You kind of predicted it. But yeah, it's Jeff Banks definitely prioritized him, so that kind of says something going in there and kind of getting him out, because they beat Army for his recruitment, which maybe not the biggest program in the world, but if Texas is interested and offers, good chance somebody else kind of gets involved as well. So Jeff Banks kind of made him priority and kind of shut that down relatively early.
Yeah, that's kind of how I saw things unfold, kind of in real time as they were happening. So what happened here is Texas's special teams assistant reached out to Michael Kern, and there's another guy, I wrote his name down, Drew Miller, is a punter out of Iowa. So they reached out to both these guys about a month ago. Banks gets on the phone with both of them. They're talking. Banks says, "Hey, I'm going to come up to visit you in Iowa. I'm going to come over to visit you in Florida, Michael Kern." And they set up visits. So Banks shows up this spring, and it was about a week and a half ago, and watches each of them, basically watches them punt, which for a punter, man, it's got to be pretty nerve-wracking, right? When that coach is there to watch only you, and watch, if you shank the ball, boy, that's not a good representation. Yeah. So Jeff Banks goes and watches both punters. They both, I talked to both of them. They both felt like they hit the ball well while he was there. And then a couple days later, he offered both of them. Well, I talked to both guys. It was last Tuesday. In fact, it was exactly a week before Michael Kern commits. And first I talked to the Drew Miller kid. Sorry. I talked to Drew Miller, and, this is a kid who had offers from North Carolina State, from Michigan, from Iowa State. He's from Iowa. And then just this week, Georgia got involved with an offer, and he immediately set up a Georgia official visit. He's been to Georgia previously. He set up a North Carolina State official visit. He's been there previously. It just seemed like that one wasn't necessarily trending to Texas. Okay, I'm not saying Texas couldn't have won out, but you had to get the guy on campus first. A lot's going to have to happen. And, the fact that Georgia just offered and he immediately set up a Georgia visit, that tells me there's a strong interest in Georgia. Who can blame him, right? So I didn't really see that one happening. But then Michael Kern, when I talked to him last week, he was like, hey, man, Texas and Army are his only two offers, as you mentioned. He said he wanted to get out to Austin for an unofficial visit, maybe in May, and then maybe set up his official visit in June. And he told me, he said, hey, man, I might go ahead and commit if I like what I see on that unofficial visit. He said, why waste an opportunity? Lo and behold, a week later, he commits without ever having visited Texas. So, I'm curious. I've reached out to Michael, and I'm having to go through his school a little bit to get a second interview, but I'm curious to see what changed. Why initially he wanted to wait till he visited. He ends up committing without visiting. I want to ask him what changed, but I'll be honest, Cole, when he said that, I kind of, in my mind, he's like, yeah, I might commit when I take my visit, or I might wait. And I'm thinking, hey, dude, punters don't really get these chances very often. You've only got Texas and Army. In my mind, I'm thinking if I was advising this kid, and I would never would have said this to Michael Kern because it's not my place to advise recruits. But in my mind, I was thinking, hey, if I was advising this kid, if I was his coach or a parent, I'd be like, dude, you should probably go ahead and commit on your visit if you like it. So ends up, he moves the process up. He commits to Texas yesterday on Tuesday. And I get it. He's a punter. He's not ranked. He'll get a star ranking at some point. It'll probably be a 2-star ranking. That's what Rivals usually does with these specialists. It's not Arch Manning. Okay, let's call it what it is, Cole. I mentioned it last week. You said on this video, I wrote about it in my 3-2-1 column.
You've been all over this.
Yeah, yes, man. I'm over this story. But I've been this way for 20 years, Cole. People scoff at like place kickers scholarships. I'm like, dude, those are the guys that can win you a game. The difference in a made kick versus a missed kick, that's huge, man. Punter maybe doesn't impact the game quite as directly, but hey, man, Michael Dixon was a hell of a weapon for Texas when he was here. Texas doesn't have a punter on their roster right now. They've got Ryan Sanborn coming in, the graduate transfer. He'll be there 1 year, so Texas is good, should be good this upcoming fall. But after that, they don't have much. They got a walk-on kid that's coming in as a freshman. So, you're going to need a punter, and Michael Kern could be a guy who comes in. Honestly, he could be a 4-year starter for Texas. I mean, this is, I'm not trying to oversell it. I get it. It's not Arch Manning. It's not Micah Hudson, Colin Simmons. It's not going to move the needle like that. But you could make a case, honestly, that Michael Kern, this punter commitment, will maybe be one of the first starters from this 2024 recruiting class for Texas. So, I don't want to undersell it either. I think people should pay attention, learn the name Michael Kern. He's out of St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Good program.
Great program. Maybe open some doors there. Hey, maybe I go to Fort Lauderdale to visit. Who knows? Now I just need to get Reiner Swanson from Laguna Beach so I can jet set to Florida, jet set to Cali. So, yeah, man. But that was the big news of the week, Cole. To reiterate, Michael Kern, a new name that we just started talking about, commits to Texas on Tuesday. All right, Cole, I'm going to transition here. I'm going to hand back to you. You went out to Allen, and you watch this. Xena, and you know what I did, Cole?
I think you did the same thing, actually.
Oh, yeah, I went on the Texas Sports website, the roster, and it shows you how the pronunciation of these players' names. I looked at his brothers. We should know this by now. We should know how to say it.
He tells me every time.
I know it, and we always forget, right? But it is Xena Umuzalo.
Yeah.
Boom, Umuzalo. So,
good.
Xena, I'm sorry, but I finally got it right. But anyways, you went and watched Xena Umuzalo yesterday, the defensive lineman, whose brother, of course, is at Texas. NATO is at Texas. I want you to go ahead and talk about your visit there and how that went and what your impressions were.
Yeah, he's a guy that, most Texas recruiting fans are very familiar with. He's been on the radar for a while now, especially with his brother signing with Texas, already being up there. But yeah, just one of the best pass rushers in Texas, has the frame, the length that you really like. Just a player that can impact the game when he's really on his game. And, Texas really wants him in this class. He told me PK is kind of leading the recruitment for him. They want him to play in that buck position, but he kind of play all over as far as, he said he's going to play some linebacker for Allen this year. Has big goals of mine, wants to get double-digit sacks, get down far deep into the playoffs. As far as his recruitment goes, I think it's a 3-team race right now with, it's kind of been that same way with Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. Those seem to be the three that continue to be in the mix there. A&M and Oklahoma actually had coaches at the practice on the day I went. So yeah, I think those are the 3 teams to beat. He mentioned Miami. Maybe they get an official visit. I think he already has checked their campus out before. I wouldn't blame him for taking OV out there, kind of close to Fort Lauderdale on the same topic. So, but yeah, he was at Texas multiple times this spring. He was there in March. He was back there for the spring game. So he continues to take visits there, and he continues to talk pretty highly of Texas. He said the atmosphere at the spring game is great. The coaches are great. He likes the fans. But just overall, I think it's a 3-team race. He doesn't know when he will take official visits. Right now, he believes it'll be the summer. He wants to have a commitment pretty soon, as far as maybe August, September. Doesn't want to drag it out too long. I think Texas will obviously get an official visit, pretty much kind of confirm that. I think A&M and Oklahoma definitely will as well. So, it's 3-team race. I think Texas is there. I'm not sure if – I know I've kind of gone back and forth. I do think Texas – if you ask me right now, I do think Texas might be the leader in that recruitment, but I don't think it's too big of a lead. I think A&M and OU are right there with them. But when you factor in the visits he's taking, his brother already being up there, there's a lot of things going in Texas's favor. I'm interested to see how NATO's season goes. He obviously redshirted last year. He got some playing time in the spring game. If he can carve out a role, that will obviously help Texas. That's something to watch. But I do think Texas is a slight leader right now for him.
Yeah. There was a time when I remember he was pretty high in Arkansas. You don't really hear much from Arkansas. Arkansas from him, I guess. So, I tend to agree with you, Cole. It's a tricky one to pin down. I remember it was an Under Armour camp. I think it was last year even. I don't remember. I
think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't just gung-ho, rah-rah Texas like I expected he would be, considering his brother was at Texas. And I remember people on Orange Bloods were like, oh, he's going to Texas. He's going to Texas. I'm like, man, I don't know. He might buck the trend a little bit.
Yeah.
His interest in these other schools, and Arkansas was one of them at the time, is really genuine. To me, I think this one can maybe come down to 2 things. And I think it's one of which you mentioned. If NATO has a great season or a good season and is happy there and is going to stay at Texas, that obviously helps Texas, right? If NATO doesn't play and he says, you know what, I think I'm going to transfer somewhere else and use the transfer portal, well, that can really hurt Texas, of course. Yeah. So I think NATO's future has an impact. And honestly, I think just how hard does Texas push there and the other schools? I mean, if Texas really goes all in on Xena and says, we want you, you are our guy, NATO's having a good season, NATO's happy, I think Texas wins out there. If not, I think that one can get pretty interesting.
He did, just real quick, he did mention that NATO actually is enjoying Texas. He said he talks to him just about every single day, which, obvious if they're brothers. But he said NATO speaks really highly of the Texas program. He's enjoying it in Austin. So at least right now, as we sit in May, things are turning up there. But, I agree with you. If Texas turns up the heat, NATO continues to enjoy it, I don't see anybody being Texas out for Xena.
Yeah, and NATO's getting his pancake factory money, so, man, he should be happy.
That's a nice incentive to have. True
story. When I talked to NATO after he signed, I can't quite remember where it was, but, I think it was down in Orlando at the Under Armour game, and we were talking about the pancake factory stuff, and, he had no clue that it was – he thought it was a one-time $50,000 payment for NATO. No, it's every year. He's like, what? He had no idea. Like, dude, that's something you should know. You shouldn't be learning that information from me. So hopefully he's enjoying it. And it was great because NATO was very very responsible, very mature. He's like, yeah, I'm going to invest it. He goes, I might buy something small, but I want to invest it. I was like, good for you, man. That's $200,000 over 4 years. You invest that at your age. I mean, dude, that turns into $1 million as you grow up. So good for NATO. Hopefully he's being he and everybody hope they're being smart with the money. But a couple guys I talked to, Cole. One I actually put an update on just this morning before we started recording. Jarrett Gibson, the running back out of IMG Academy in Florida, he visited Texas for the spring game. I talked to his dad afterwards, and I think we've probably talked about that. It was a great visit. Texas is in a great spot. His dad had told me, hey, we might come back to Austin in May, or they wanted to, and then, of course, return in late June for their official visit. I followed up today. The May visit's not going to work out, so he won't be coming back for that. He might visit Miami in May. Jarrett Gibson might. And then he's got his official visits in June. It'll be Georgia, Tennessee, Miami, and then Texas gets the last visit. I still feel really, really good about Texas there. I said I had my future cast in from back in February. I feel as confident as ever in that pick. Official visits can change things. Listen, you go to Georgia on an official visit, Tennessee, Miami, those places are going to make a strong impression. But I will have Jarrett Gibson on commitment watch when he visits Texas in late June. I think Texas is in that good of a position. Cole, a couple other out-of-state guys I want to just touch on, a bit random, but I talked to these guys this week. Nair Daniels, who's an offensive lineman out of New Jersey, teammate of Sadir Mitchell, the Texas freshman defensive tackle. He's coming in for his Texas official visit. He said late June or July. I'm assuming it'll be late June. But he was like, yeah, it'll be the last week of June or the last week of July. I'm assuming June. He doesn't have any other official visits set up. He's got ones he wants to take, but nothing is set up. That's usually a pretty good indicator for Texas's position there. Similarly, defensive lineman Melvin Hills out of Lafayette Christian Academy in Louisiana. He's had this Texas visit set up since I think it was March, Cole, we saw him on campus.
Yeah.
He told us he had his Texas visit set up for June 16th. And he's been saying since then, I'm going to set up Georgia and I'm going to set up a couple others. He has not set up any other visits. I think he will. I think he'll certainly take other visits. But the fact that Texas visit, he was so quick and so eager to set it up. He's already visited Texas twice this spring. Now he's got his official visit set up for June. I think those are two out-of-state names that Texas fans really need to start paying attention to. That could very well end up being in this class in the end. So, Cole, lastly, before we kind of put a bow on this edition of the Crewcast, I'm going to let you talk a little bit to finish things up. But we've got the Rivals Camp up in it's a Dallas Rivals Camp. It's in Coppell on Sunday. You and I will be there, as you so wonderfully pointed out before we started recording. Probably in the rain. Thanks for that, Cole. Thanks for
Hey, I think I'll be at the combine on Saturday too.
Oh, you might get a double whammy then. Okay. I'll be coming up Saturday. I will not be at the combine, but maybe you and I can hook up for dinner. That's what we will talk about. But we'll definitely both be out there Sunday for the big camp. Go ahead and talk about what you're expecting there. Maybe pick a couple guys you're looking forward to seeing and your experience of what you're looking for at the Rivals Camp.
Yeah, this will be my second or third. I was at the Underclassmen Challenge in Atlanta last year, but second one in Dallas, second Rivals Camp in Dallas. So kind of looking forward to seeing the turnout. It looks like a pretty good list, mostly with underclassmen, especially a lot of underclassmen talent, 2025, 2026, but there's a couple 2024 targets. And there's a couple guys that have recently added Texas offers supposed to be at the camp. Taz Williams has officially added his offer from Texas and spoke really highly of Chris Jackson. He said him and Chris Jackson are hitting it off and everything like that. One of the top receivers in the state for 2025. His teammate, Kamarian Morgan, I believe that's how you pronounce it. He pass rushing edge 2025. Another guy, same school, Red Oak High School, had grabbed a Texas offer late April. Good size, good athlete, also plays basketball. There's a lot of talent. I think a couple of guys that I'm interested in seeing that, they don't have Texas offers now, but I could definitely see maybe Texas getting into the mix. And that the one that really jumps out to me is Josiah Martin from Denton Guyer. He trains with Margin Hooks up in Dallas, trains with Jonte Cook, all of those guys, and really dangerous playmaking wideout. I'm interested to see how he does. He's a guy that I think could jump out on the Texas radar eventually, maybe this summer, depending how he does in camps. I'm most looking forward to seeing you again, man. I haven't seen you since March.
Now you're lying. Now you're making
There should be a lot of talent, but I'm excited for you to get up here.
I was looking forward to seeing me. My wife's looking forward to me leaving the house for the weekend.
You probably wish you could leave Friday then.
Yeah, I might have to, man. If she has her way, I'll leave tomorrow. If she had her way with yeah, Coach, those camps are always fun, man. I mean, hopefully the weather cooperates. You know, I started to make a quick list. Some of these guys have registered. You know, hopefully they show up. Dickius Brinkley out of Katy Seven Lakes. I'm really excited to see him if he shows up. You mentioned Taz, who I love Taz Williams as a person. So look forward to seeing him. Kelvion Riggins, Riley Wormley, a running back with the Texas offer. A guy we both love as a player and as a person. Andrew Marsh is supposed to be out there. One of our favorites, I know, in that 2025 class. So there'll be some good names out there. We'll have a lot to talk about next week.
Smith, Damian Kayuoff, Ty Anthony Smith supposed to be up there as well. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of talent. So it should be a good turnout.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Like I said, hopefully the weather cooperates. So, Cole, with that, I will see you soon, my man, in person, in the flesh. We'll try to meet up and go grab something to eat, maybe the day before the camp or even after the camp. But with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of the Crewcast. That's Cole Patterson. I'm Jason Sukamel. Thanks to Blake Skaggs, our producer behind the scenes, who makes this stuff run smoothly. Thanks, a big thanks to our sponsor up there, Prime Shrimp. Go get you that Prime Shrimp at primeshrimp.com. Use that promo code OrangeBloods30 to get 30% off your order of 6 or more packages of Prime Shrimp. And, of course, subscribe to the channel, like the video. And we'll be back next week, Cole. It's going to have to be early. I've got some stuff going on later in the week. So we'll be back, maybe Monday, Tuesday, to probably talk in depth about the Rivals camp and any news and notes we pick up from that Rivals camp. So everybody have a great rest of your week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving us a little bit of your time, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it now.